După aia în 10 secunde, 15. Gata. Hello, we are very excited to be live from Multipliers Club. We are going to have a very, very exciting session today. I do believe that we can make this year the best year of our life. And one of the first things I do believe we need to do is to discover our X factor. And I'm going to have a presentation today. I do have about 88 slides, but I do have a big promise to make. If you are going to apply the things that I'm sharing with you today, you will increase your chances a lot to really make this year the best year of your life. Because I do believe we were created with huge, almost, I believe, unlimited potential. And today we are going to find some very, very practical ways to discover how we were created. And we will look also into the futures, what we want to do and how we want to grow. So here we go. As I said, I want us today to discover our X factor. And I believe our X factor is the superpower for exponential results. Our goal at Multipliers Club is to help you thrive beyond limits. And it doesn't matter where you are today. It doesn't matter if you probably are not aware of gifts, talents, if you are saying that there is nothing special about you. You will discover today how you can find your X factor and how you can thrive beyond limits. So the big promise, if you will stick with me to the end, and if you will take then a few hours to apply the things that I'm sharing with you, you will have big aha moments, and you will see a lot of things that can become your X factor in your life. So how can we thrive beyond limits? I believe the first thing is to look, to study, and to find those aha moments, those things in us that we were created with, or some skills that we want to develop. And after we find those aha moments, I believe then we need to take a massive action. Then we can share those with our inner circle. And that is also for a sort of a validation. And I'll speak about that a little bit later today. And that's how we can thrive beyond limits. Now, it's very interesting, this cone of experience. Edgar Dale is the one who came up with this idea. And maybe you've seen this learning pyramid. It became very, very popular with some percentages. Now, Edgar, when he came with this idea of cone of experience, he did not put necessarily the percentages. So there might not be a lot of scientific data toward the percentages, but we do have a passive learning, and then we have a participatory learning. So what I would like to challenge you is to move toward from the passive, from just listening, to reading, and this is an audiovisual, to move a lot deeper. Take your pen and paper, write it down, then discuss the findings with your family, with your inner circle, with your friends, and validate what you are discovering. And then you will have this superpower to see exponential results in your life. Now, this is the map for today. This is the agenda for today. We will go through these four big chapters: discover, dream, design, and deliver. Now, the first process is the longest one in my presentation. Even though in the real life, the longest one will be the delivery. But today, the longest one is the discovery. And we will go one by one through these areas, these questions, and I'll give you very, very practical ways how to discover your X factor. So first, it's been known that there are 9 types of intelligence, and you might have a very predominant one, maybe 2, maybe 3. But I do believe in discovering our X factor, it is important for us to be aware of what type of intelligence is predominant in our life. So I like this quote by Oscar Wilde. Be yourself. Everybody else is taken. It is important to be ourselves. And it is important to see how God created us and what are the talents that are in us. Some may be very deep and we have to dig for them, but we definitely, through the process I'm sharing today, you will be able to do so. So the first type of intelligence is interpersonal. This is communicating with others and reading them. The second one is linguistic. There are some among us who use language for writing and speaking. That's why we have authors. That's why we have screenwriters. And these have the linguistic type of intelligence much more predominant in their lives. Then it's intrapersonal, the ability to understand your inner self. Natural, connecting and understanding nature. Spatial, right? We have architects, and these guys have the spatial intelligence. It's very easy for them to see buildings in 3D. Yes, so experiencing the world in 3D dimensions. Musical, recognizing sound, pitch, tone, rhythm. We have musicians, and yes, if you have this innate ability, it is very easy. For me, for example, I know that I do not have this one. If you want to empty a room, ask me to sing, and it will empty very, very quickly. So for sure, this one is eliminated when I'm trying to evaluate my intelligence. Logical, excelling in math and logical thinking. Existential, introspective questions about life, death, and existence. So what is your intelligence type? So it shouldn't take a long time to discover it. I mean, you can do it in maybe 2 or in 3 minutes to go again through the list and give a grade to each one of them, and you say, maybe I have this top 3 or top 4 type of intelligence. Now, the next area is to discover our passions. Now, it is true that it's not always that we can make money pursuing our passions, but sometimes we can, and sometimes we can combine part of our passion with something else, with a skill that we are developing. So it is important to go through this process, and you can take 10 or 15 minutes to go through this later on. I'm sure you cannot do it now as I'm speaking live, because I'm going very fast through these questions. But basically, what makes you lose track of time? You can find sometimes in situations where 2 or 3 hours passed doing something that you really enjoy, and you lose track of time. So it's important to know those areas. What do you spend money to do? Are you buying lots of books? Are you spending money on a certain type of experiences? That might show you your passions. What would you do if money weren't an issue? It's a really, really good question. You can find in personal development books this question in many different ways. What would you do today if you would have $1 million, and so forth? But yes, what would you do if money weren't an issue? What do you fear judgment? So maybe you have a talent, and even others told you that, look, you are wasting your life if you are not doing this or that. So is there an area where you fear the judgment of others in your life? What makes your heart race? Another really, really good question. So you might need a bit of introspection to find this, but I believe it's a really, really good question. Then, what type of people are you drawn to? This is also important, because you have people who you admire, or if you are in a room with lots and lots of people, who would you like to spend time with? especially those who are better than you or maybe you look up to. Next question, what volunteer activities do you find compelling? So yes, this is another area. If you are willing to go and volunteer in some organizations or doing some activities, that might tell you also about your passions or about your deep core values. So we explored the first two, intelligence type and passions. Now let's look at the skills. It is important to discover your skills. So what kind of problems do you solve? What are your top three accomplishments? If you look back in the last few years, what are you proud of? What are the things that you have done that you're proud of and maybe others have appreciated you for? What are the things from the past that are most exciting that gave you energy? So it is important to see here the difference. You may have some good accomplishments, but when you think about them, you are not necessarily, you're thinking that they exhausted you and they drained your energy out. But there are some activities that give you energy. So it is important to differentiate the two. So when I'm speaking here about discovering your skills, it is important to focus on those skills that also give you energy, because those that give you energy, you can do on long term a lot more successfully. Then when you are faced with a challenge, what is your go-to skill to overcome that challenge? Important to note this too. What are the skills others acknowledge in you? When working in a team, what roles do you seek to fulfill? This can also point toward the skills that you have. Now, it is important to ask yourself also, how do you want to stand out from the crowd? What is unique about you? So going through all those, I think, 7 questions, it's important to then come up with probably 4 top skills that you have. So please, when you go through this exercise, just write down the top 4 skills that you want to develop, because we will need this later on in our process. So yes, we went through intelligence, passion, skills. Now let's look at the values. It is important to identify and define our top values. Now, if you just do a very basic Google search, you'll find lots of lists, and I put here several values, and it's probably an exercise that it can take you 5 or 10 minutes, and you can go and cross the ones that you are sure that they are not something that really interests you. And then it is important to find 4 or so that are important to you, and also put a short definition, why or what do you mean by that value in your context in what you are doing. This exercise, it is important. I've done it several times. I've done it for myself. I've done it for the organizations and businesses that I've been involved in. And this is a really good exercise because it helps you, and it helps then the team that is around you to focus on what is really valuable and what is important. Now, let's go to strengths. I recommend a really good tool, StrengthsFinder 2.0 from Gallup. It's a really good tool. I've read the book and I did take the test. It is a paid assessment, but if you do not want necessarily to take it, you can also just look at the list of the strengths. They recognize 34 strengths in 4 different categories. And again, if you do an internet search on the Strengths Finder and the 34 strengths from Gallup, you can see them here. And even if you click on their website, on each one of these 34, you see the description. So you can evaluate, look in your life, ask yourself, which ones you think that you have, and also then maybe ask your best friends, those who know you best, what do you think are my top 4 or so. And I did take the assessment, and it gave, these are my results, my top 5. Actually, they give you 5. My first one is activator. Second one is ideation. I love the world of ideas. Third, input. Fourth, futuristic. Yes, I love thinking about the future. Even my wife tells me sometimes that I live more in the future than in the present. So yes, it is very true that this is one of my strengths. Then intellection. And so I do believe in discovering our X factor. It is important to look at the strengths, because those strengths are the ones that we were born with. I didn't do anything basically to be future minded or to love the world of ideas. I believe I was born with that. So in discovering our X factor, this is also very important to look at our strengths. Then I do believe it is important to take some professional personality tests. I've taken probably more than 20, and they really helped me in many different ways. I can say that my life today and even my marriage is better because of the DISC profile. In the beginning, after I got married, I took the DISC personality. At that point, I think it was about $80 a personality profile. It gave us probably about 30 pages or so. It gave my wife 40 pages, and I was puzzled. I thought, why it gave her more than me, more than 10 pages. She's much more complex. It took a lot more pages to explain her. But it really helped even our marriage, because I understood a lot more how she thinks in many areas, and we had a lot less conflict in our marriage because of the DISC personality profile. So I highly encourage you to take it. Now, for our Multipliers Pro, we are offering the DISC and the value assessment in the paid membership profile. So if you are really interested in this particular profile, I think it's priced about $80. But in the membership pro profile, we are offering this for free. So very quickly here, the Enneagram profile is also one that I recommend. I really liked it, especially because it gives you, when it describes you, it gives you also on a scale from 1 to 9, the best version of yourself, and then through all the way to the worst version of yourself. And it's fascinating. I asked my daughters to take them, and we had really good discussions, and it was very enlightening. I mean, very useful, the Enneagram profile. And as I said, the DISC index, here it says how to prefer to use your talents based on your natural behavioral style. So the DISC is from D is from dominance, influence, steadfastness, and consciousness. It depends on the profile, 20, 30, 40, 50 pages on you, basically. So this is basically the discovery process in defining our X factor. So I know I went really fast through this, but I just wanted to give you a high-level overview. And as I said, it will take a few hours probably to go through it, but it's really worth it. Now, the second one is dream. Now, maybe what you discover is something, maybe you don't really like what you discover. Maybe you don't feel passionate about anything, or maybe you don't really see skills. Maybe in the discovering your values, you are not really sure. The good news is that if you don't like what you see, you can enter into a process of dreaming, of changing what you see. Here, George Bernard Shaw said, life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself. So my question is, do you want to create a new version of you? You can reinvent yourself. Yes, I do believe if we don't like what we see today, we can reinvent ourselves. And let's focus a little bit on the future you. Now, answer this question. What do you want to be known for? Spend a few minutes, meditate, dream. What would you like to be known for? Second, how do you want to be different? Write a paragraph or two about this. What is your vision? What are your goals? What are your desired outcomes? How do you define success? If money and time was not a problem, what would you do? Now, in this dream process, it is important to write those things down. Now, there is no guarantee that you will accomplish all of this, but this can open up some new windows into your life. And you can really discover some things that are deep down inside that you can work on in the next stage of our process. So please take a few minutes and go through these 7 questions. So that is the dream. Now you can look again at the discovery process and dream about all those things. You can take each area that we mentioned in the discovery process and dream about what would you like to see different in each one of them. Now, what you can do next is to put everything together, and you can put everything together just in one page. So your intelligence type, your top 4 passions, your top 4 skills, your super skill out of the 4, your top core values, your top strengths, your takeaways from DISC, your takeaways from Enneagram. But by the way, there are a lot more tests. It's Myers-Briggs, and there are a zillion of tests that are really, really good that can help you see more of who you are and how you were created to be. Now, one other good exercise is the elevator pitch. So this is used a lot in business. And the idea of the elevator pitch is that if you imagine that you are in an elevator and you find someone really important, maybe a guy who can give you money to start your business, but you have only maybe 30 seconds or maybe a minute maximum until you go from the floor you are to wherever you go, what would you say? So basically, you put in one paragraph the core of who you are, the core of what you can bring to the world, what is your contribution, what is your X factor. And this exercise, it's really, really good. Write down one paragraph about you, and that can be your elevator pitch. Now, for those of you who want to take this a lot further, you can think about you and about your personal brand. Now, this might not be for everyone, but I do believe that it is a good exercise. And what if you would brand yourself? And yes, if you search on the internet, you already find quite a few materials about branding yourself. So here are a few thoughts about this. Your brand is what people say about you after you leave the room, says Jeff Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon. And it is true. Imagine what are people saying now after you leave the room. Are they saying, well, this guy is brilliant, he helped me with this and this and this? But if they are not saying that, imagine what would you like them to say a year from now, and work on that for you to become that person. A really good book that I recommend is Business Model You, and they invented the business canvas model that is basically one business plan on one page, but now here is a canvas about personal branding. So those who are interested, you can research this on the web, find some materials. I found this. I think this is the exact copy from the book, but also now you can find it in different ways. But it is a really good exercise to take everything that we've discussed so far and put them on this one canvas. Now, this is a little bit more than what we've discussed because it talks about the arena where you want to play, where you will bring services. It speaks also about your competitors, about your positioning, your audience, the money, the investments, what you need basically to be able to do this, and the results. But I believe it is a really good exercise to develop your personal brand and to develop this canvas. So in the design process, you can use this canvas, but also I believe that you can put all of these things together in a document, and then you can try to validate your findings. I believe it is good to go to the people who know you the most. And I've done this myself several times with people who knew me the most, and I asked them to fill out some forms about me. And I wanted their feedback because their feedback was important to me. So you can share, well, these I believe that are my core values. These I believe are my strengths. These I believe are my skills. What do you think? Give me your honest feedback. So this process, going and discussing with the people that know you the best, can validate your findings. And this is really, really important. Now, in this design process, you can look at what new skills you want to develop. You can ask who are your mentors, what is the strategy to see these things accomplished, how will you make course corrections. This is important because you will find yourself facing some walls, and maybe you will not know exactly what to do next, and you need course corrections. Maybe you thought that you want to become an influencer in a certain area. You worked for several months and you didn't see a lot of results, or maybe you're not really enjoying it and you're saying, well, I don't think this is my strength. I don't believe this will give me fulfillment and will give me energy to work long hours, and I need some course correction. So I believe this is extremely important. So again, looking at the map, we've discussed about discovery, we discussed about the dream, looking at in the future, especially if we don't like what we see today, what can we dream about, who we could become. We've discussed about the design process, even about branding ourselves and about mapping everything that we've discovered into a sort of a brand manual or into a canvas. So now, discussing about delivery, what are the next steps? It's nice to discover where we are. It's nice even to dream about where we could be in a year from now or so. It's important to bring everything together, but now it is time for massive action. If we don't take massive action, everything, if it remains in our head, or better on paper or in our computer, we will not see a lot of growth. It is important to put a practical plan of action together, and it's important to really to put a lot of action. I read last year Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule, and he was saying something very, very interesting: to set goals that are 10 times bigger than what you believe you can achieve. And I thought, 10 times bigger? Everything that I've read so far, it said to be realistic about your goals and so forth. He said, no, don't be realistic. Set goals that are 10 times bigger. But then he immediately said, you have to be ready to put action, to put a lot of action, 10 times more action to achieve those goals. So yes, we do need a plan of action. And the first thing to do is to define our next steps. Then it's important to write down how we measure our progress, because it is important to have some accountability, to have someone we discuss this with. So what are the deadlines? So this plan of action, it is important to be in writing, and I would encourage you to share it with your inner circles, with your close friends, and ideally is if you have a mentor. Now, we in the Multipliers Club Pro membership, we are going to help our members with some of these things to go a lot deeper, and we will have coaching calls with the clients. So if you are interested about becoming a Multipliers Pro member, please let us know. Now, in developing this, it is important to realize that we need to get out there, and out there now for a lot of us means internet. Yes, we can go out there, of course, amongst our friends, but we need to put out content and develop our community, and a really easy place to do this is on the internet, in the social networks. Now, it's interesting what Chris Anderson says: your brand isn't what you say it is, it's what Google says it is. And it's an interesting point of view, because once you put yourselves out there, people react. And the truth is that there is a small number of people who are really negative, and you have to be ready to look at the negative comments, and take what is good out of them. Those are free consultants, but you don't have to let yourself be affected by those negative comments. But if you add value to people, and with your services and who you are and what you share, then people will really respond in a good way also. If you don't build a personal brand, someone else will brand you with the wrong label. So it is important to start developing what you propose, what you wanted, what your goals are, and to put you out there with the label that you want. So this is basically the high-level overview of our of discovering our X factor. Now, sometimes we want to say, well, I'm going to put a lot of action and think that everything will be done by next week. And the reality is that it is important to define small steps and to take them one by one. So never underestimate the importance of small steps. Sometimes taking small steps, it's easier than necessarily thinking about the big things and not defining really well the small steps that will help you to climb. Now, I want to challenge you to part of your identity, to think about being a multiplier. When I read a book last year about multipliers and diminishers, it was really a good challenge. And at that time, I said, yes, I am going to be a multiplier. And this was before Multipliers Club, before the idea of the Multipliers Club. I really want to help people grow in their personal life. I want to help people become financially free. That's why we formed the Multiplier Club. Now, if you are not sure the skills you want to develop, my challenge to you is choose this one. Like I chose it. I want to learn how to be a multiplier. So my challenge to you is choose to be a multiplier. And when you are a multiplier, you can multiply the resources that you have. Yes. You can multiply the money you have, uh, other types of resources. And it's really good to be a multiplier of multipliers. It's really good to help others people become multipliers. I really like, there is a interesting passage in scripture in the Bible that says that the good soil will produce 30, 60, or 100 times more than it's planted. And this is true. I looked it up. And I think the corn, for example, on average produces 800 corns each seed. And I want to be a good soil. I want the lessons that I learned to produce good fruit in my life. So you have two options. You can do this by yourself, and I congratulate you for staying until now watching this presentation. And you can go back and go through this, stop it, and write down everything. Or in our Multiplier Pro membership, we will give you a written guide with questions that you can go through. And time to time, we are organizing also group coaching calls where we will help you to define your X factor. So you can do it by yourself, or you can do it with us in the community. Now, Multipliers Club is much more than a product. It is a lifestyle. So I challenge all of you who are watching, become a multiplier. Even if you don't become a member in the Multipliers Club, I think the idea of being a multiplier, it's a brilliant one. And that's why we even chose the name for ourselves. So I'd like to end this presentation with our Multipliers Manifesto. We've put together this video. It's about a minute long, but it shares what we believe that is true about multipliers. And in those 4 areas, there are different affirmations in the 4 areas: the X factor, X growth, X community, and X impact. Those are the 4 core pillars in the Multipliers Club. So this is our declaration. This is who we want to be. And as I mentioned, I want to invite you to become a multiplier. Now, we have a lot of resources in the Multipliers Club that are free. And as I said, we do have some resources that are for the Multiplier Pro members. The good news is that if you become a member, then we have 66% commission that we give you if you invite other people to come to be part of the club. At this point, the membership is $150 a year. So if you invite somebody else, you get $100 back for you if somebody pays $150. So you can also make quite a bit of money inviting others into Multipliers Club for them to learn about all these resources. So thank you for watching. Please watch this 1 minute multipliers declaration, I would say manifesto, and I hope that you will become one of the multipliers. Thank you.
Opportunities are everywhere. There are no more boundaries. All that you need is around you. Imagine the grand possibilities. We dare to be different, determined, passionate. We are thinking big, unique souls, unstoppable. We are intense, brave, spiritual, courageous. We make our dreams a reality. We empower multipliers. We build brave communities. Love shines through everything we do. We unlock the potential in others. We never settle for, "It's not possible." We push boundaries. We are change agents. We grow every day. We transform ideas into reality. We make the world a better place. It does not matter if it is cold, hot, dark. We create the future and bring hope to millions. We are not giving up. We make the impossible possible. We push through fears and weaknesses. We are the mass movement of people. We are the multipliers.